Jake, we made it to our favorite day of the year on this show.
Best show. This is the one.
Best show. And shockingly,
no pressure.
Loren, I don't know how you did not ever do an Off-Nominees show with us before. So welcome aboard.
I'm very excited for this one by far.
It's maybe we felt bad trying to hit you with the bad news, but your sense of humor is so right on for it that it's unfortunate that you didn't yet. So
there was a time you guys gave me a quiz after I came from book leave, and that was stressful. I remember.
Yeah.
And while I was gone, a lot had happened, because it's me. And there was, I think, multiple companies had gone public via SPAC. Multiple billionaires had gone to space. It was just a wild time to have taken off for write a book. But there really, when it comes to covering space, there's no good time to do it.
No.
Good book, though.
Is.
So that worked out. It all panned out nicely.
Yeah.
Do we have any other topics to cover, Jake, before this epic list?
No, we need to get into it. Like there can be no messing around today. We have a lot of wacky stories from 2024. This list throughout the year, we've been tracking these as we go, and it's I think it was February. We're like, oh man, this is gonna be a busy episode. We already knew by then that there was gonna be some pretty chunky stories to cover. So.
Think now in your head what you think the winner is going to be, because I guarantee you forgot at least one of these that's better than whatever you're thinking. Just that's for Loren. That's for everybody. Put
it in your head.
A lot.
Yeah.
I'm thinking. I'm thinking. I have something in my head, but I don't want to say it.
Don't say it yet. Just think about it.
Okay, I will. I'll think about it. Yeah. Okay.
Did you bring a drink today? I know it's a little earlier for you.
I did.
You got nice daylight still.
Yes, and I think I drank kombucha last time I was on, but I'm also drinking kombucha again. But this one I love because it's Pink Lady Apple flavor, and Pink Lady Apple is by far the best flavor of apple.
Wow.
So when I found this in the grocery store,
Honeycrisp out here taking some shots. Jeez.
I know Cosmic, which I do enjoy
Crisp.
and seems appropriate, but Pink Lady is my one true love.
No. We're a Royal Gala house, so.
Wow.
Oof.
God.
Major miss.
Huge miss. That's going on the list, Jake. Jake's apple takes are on here. Oh man, brutal. What'd you bring? Did you bring some other bad tasting mealy bullshit too?
No. I got a Patito Navideña. It's their Christmas Imperial Stout. So this one
love that.
Yeah. It's you see how that's condensating? Look at this tropics, baby. Look at that.
Mine's doing that too, Jake, but it's Mad Elf time. You remember this one?
Mad Elf.
Yeah, it's the Mad Elf episode, 11%. It's the exact beer we need for the Off-Nominees. I don't really like cherries in drinks, but I do it for once a year. And then I bring the leftovers to my family's house for Christmas, and they say, congrats, I brought 5 beers. Why'd you bring 5? That's what I had.
No reason. You always bring 5 beers every Christmas.
4 or 5. I sell them in 6s, but
yeah, that's funny.
Okay.
All right. So should we
introduce? I was going to say if we should introduce and maybe do a little bit of here were the winners of years gone by, because I've updated the website, Jake, so I want to take a victory lap for that.
Yes, we need to take credit for that. Okay, so if you have not listened to this show before, we do this every year. This is the Off-Nominees. These are the weirdest, wackiest, kind of funniest things that went unexpected, wrong. As we say every year, they must have these stories have to have the spirit of whimsy. So there was a little bit of in the early years of doing this, there was a little bit of it kept meandering into just things that went wrong, just sad stories, and that's not what we wanted. It has to be whimsy. This needs to be funny. We're gonna laugh a lot today. That's the kind of point of these. So Anthony and I have been collecting them all year, and there's a lot.
Yeah, there was a year where there was a lot of launch failures, and most of them were just not. We were it's just not really worth talking about. They're just things that went wrong. Nothing fun. Yeah. And then when you, this many years in, this is our 6th year doing it, I think.
Sounds about right.
6th, 7th. you read this list of who has won in the years gone by, and you're like, oh yes, that's exactly the kind of stuff that we're talking about. So, 2023, Jake, I rewatched the episode, and will say Joey B and us, it was a hilarious episode because there was many great stories. The winner, though, was the Vega propellant tanks that got thrown out and were found in a landfill next to other scrap metal. So that was a great one.
Incredible.
Yeah.
That year there was two categories, Starship and not Starship. The winner of the Starship category was this fantastic tweet. What are the 63 items? In which Elon asked the FAA directly on Twitter what the items were that his company sent them. So that was a great year.
I think I also asked the FAA that question.
One of them.
So Elon being a reporter, and he understands what our jobs are, when he's not railing against them.
2022, one of my favorite years. Oleg Artemyev threw a CubeSat into the ISS solar array directly on a spacewalk. He bounced it off the solar array. One of the greatest of all times, I think.
It's a rebound shot. Yeah.
That one's excellent.
Kobe.
2021, Nauka was the winner, just generally for all of its travails.
That one I was really sad to miss. Talk about another thing I missed when I was on book leave was that I think I was blissfully writing a chapter and then kind of checked online and went, oh my God.
That was hard to check too because there was
space station.
But there were even like events leading up to it. It almost didn't make it. It almost didn't stay in orbit.
Right.
So there was all these little things leading up to it that
You had the great line for this, Loren. Because when Nauka first launched, we were all cheering for it, and then it like went really sour, and you said it got milkshake ducked. It was exactly what happened.
Wow,
nailed it.
I'm going to quote you back to you. Yeah.
2020, the Florida boaters got after it in the DM2 recovery. That was also one of my favorites. That's incredible. That picture is incredible. Let's see, 2019, Omega's observation. Probably I've heard that word a lot lately.
We're gonna have. Are we gonna have another observation in this
the year of the observation
category?
For sure?
Yeah.
There may be a recurrence. Yeah.
2018, Oleg Kononenko stabbed a Soyuz and cut into it on a spacewalk to find that drill hole that they never ended up figuring out who did.
That was the best day at work, I have to say. I never watch spacewalks, but this one was unmissable.
Yeah, the POV of just stabbing a spaceship and like all the stuff flying everywhere, that was incredible. So those are the past winners. Excellent, all of them, but that gets us to this year.
What's the URL for that? Can you give people the
offnom.com/awards. The 2024 ones will be up there after the show, but they will not be for a little bit so that you are not spoiled if you want to go look at the past winners. We do categories every year, Jake. Would you like to introduce this year's categories?
Mm-hmm, yeah. So we always kind of do the categories based on what there is. And so the subdivisions this year looks like we got 3. So it's a triple category year. We have Moonlanders. There were some good stories. We have spaceships, specifically human spaceships. There were some loose stuff around that. And then our recurring category is just, rockets where they shouldn't be, really is what it's going to be.
Or shaped like they shouldn't.
Yeah,
before we started, Anthony was like, do you want the list? And I said, I want the list, but now I'm glad I did not take the list because I think I know what many of these are, but I will also like to be
there's
surprised.
Always one or two that slip through.
Exactly.
There's some events that are so small, but they're completely erratic that we throw them on this list, but everyone forgets about them. So I'm excited. There's a couple in here I'm pumped about. But what we do too, Loren, as we go, we have to pick a winner of each of these categories, and then we debate amongst ourselves of the overall winner as well. So we have 3 funny Moonlanders.
Do we have criteria? Like, are there certain points we ascribe?
If you want to,
it's just all on vibes. Okay, got it.
Just vibes. Yep.
You can score it if you want to score it that way. I would love to hear your scoring of these different things. So think about your criteria as you go.
About it. Okay.
We had 3 Moonlanders, Jake, all funny. Every single one of them was funny.
Everyone. Yeah.
Should we go chronological?
You should kick us off with the top one here because you know this story better than I do.
Yeah, I was debating that, Jake. So Peregrine, Astrobotic Peregrine started off the year. the highlights of this, right? Launch seems to go well. Everyone was also pumped about that. There was a strong chance that Vulcan's Flight 1 was also going to appear on this list. It did not. It went totally fine, which was crazy. Lander gets launched. They're in their elliptical orbit. Now we know they spring a leak of their with the pressure leaked out of their tanks, so they could not maintain tank pressure. Thus, there was fear that they would explode on their way out to lunar orbit. So the decision was made to not press ahead to go to the moon, even though at a certain point in the mission, they ended up being able to do maneuvers, which is what they said originally. They couldn't do maneuvers because they were leaking stuff. Turns out they could do maneuvers. This brings us to a thing, Jake, that happened throughout the year. There's a story here about Peregrine on its way back to Earth that has not been out there because, shockingly, there's a whole half of this story that will not confirm any details on this. But the people that were operating Peregrine were pretty sure they could fly this thing past the moon. And I'm just saying this now because I don't think anyone's ever going to talk about this. So I'm just going to spit some hot goss for the celebration of the Off-Nominees here. The team operating this was pretty sure they could fly Peregrine by the moon. Not land on it because they couldn't do a burn long enough to land on the moon, but they could do pulses and maneuver themselves out past the moon, fly by at least, head out to solar orbit, not risk anything. They were told they should sink this into the ocean. So what's interesting here is that decision was made when they were on a collision course with Earth already. So if they did nothing, they would have slammed into Earth. They could have pulsed a couple of times to raise orbit, miss Earth, go by the moon. Or they could pulse a shitload more to miss the land on Earth. They had to do more maneuvering to miss land on Earth than they did to miss Earth entirely. So this is the story of Peregrine. It burned up. There was some payload activity, so they get a little credit for that, I guess. But what's your Peregrine vibe on Spirit of Whimsy in terms of it leaking propellant tanks, still doing some maneuvers, kind of being maybe a leader in terms of communicating over the top of their status at all times? That's part of the story here.
Well, let's not forget there's even drama leading up to their launch, right? Because of the controversy from the Navajo Nation and the remains of human beings that they were carrying. And what I find so funny, and Anthony, you and I have talked about this before, is that NASA was very much like, hey, it's not our mission. We can't do anything about this. And but then when it came time to actually make a decision on how this program was going to end, NASA was like, you guys probably should crash that thing into Earth. It's our mission. Yeah.
Look at me.
Yeah.
I'm the captain now.
Yeah.
So bummer.
Yeah.
I think
what an interesting one.
It really
bummer.
is a great. I was just gonna say it was a great illustration and example of this new era that we are entering or have entered into, really, in terms of, it is something truly commercial, or does NASA have a say? Should NASA have a say? And what happens, when we do rely more and more on the commercial space industry? It's that the government has less and less of a say. Obviously, NASA is struggling with having less and less of a say, and that's for all of its missions, not just astrobotic. But those are the trade-offs that we make when we do these things, and it's a little bit like NASA having its cake and eating it too. And that's just that's not how it's going to be if you really want this vibrant commercial space industry that you're trying to create.
I was going to say that there wasn't like one specific thing in this mission to me that like felt like an off-nominee, but I think that overall it captures it in like all of these Clips missions so far have just been like chaos, like this, they don't just happen, it's just like before the launch, crazy stories as it's launching. Is it working? I don't know. Something's working. Is it spinning? We haven't talked to it in a while. It's working now. No, it doesn't work. Oh, like this blew up. We're still going to do it anyway. Let's land. Let's try. There's just so much happening on these missions. And I felt like that Peregrine definitely set the tone for that.
Yeah,
it was
there
a
was that tragic quote.
appetizer.
Remember? Yeah, that tragic quote from was it John Thornton about how they went from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows in the mission control, and that was just so
Yeah.
so bittersweet. So it really does. It's funny to laugh at, but you just remember how much time and effort they've put into these things, and it really is so tragic when, and it can happen in such a split second. All those years of work down the drain.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, on that note, let's move on to the next funny moonlander. JAXA got in the action with the Slim Lander. And I think the off-nominee criteria begins even before we get to the mission, in which the alternative name for this mission was Moon Sniper. I don't know if anyone remembers that.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah.
I do remember we found a treasure trove of logos, or they had created a cartoon character of the lander, and I gotta find the link to that. I'll send that to you guys, but there was just a bunch of different images of the lander doing cute poses in its little cartoon, like wee, and we were all laughing about the yeah, I'll have to find that.
I don't remember that.
No, it was buried on the website somewhere. Somebody had sent it to me, and so when we found
look at this!
Like, oh my god! Wait, did you find it?
I found one, I think, because there's like a book or something, the Slim Project.
Yeah.
Hit me with the
Can you
link,
share
Jake.
it?
Come on, throw the link on here.
I'm working on it.
Link in chat is what we need, Jake.
Link in chat. Okay, sending it here. I don't know why I'm sending it
He's
there.
so bad at pasting. It's being blocked by your Starlink.
Starlink was like, no moon stuff
you sent on
Discord. Yeah.
Couldn't have sent it possibly in the app that I'm running this whole fucking thing on.
All right, there you go. I'll send it in both places.
Oh, okay, here we go. Look, no, that's good. That's a good spot. All right.
Yeah.
Open. What the hell is this? I don't think I ever saw this. Is this what you're talking about?
Yes, exactly. Isn't it cute? Whoa!
I've never seen this.
But there were
Moon
a bunch
Sniper.
of these. It was like
with the crosshairs.
It's so aggressive.
Oh man.
All right, this one.
No, we found a bunch, so I wish you could find all of them because they were really adorable.
Wow. This one, I think, has more going for it than you might think, okay? So, first of all, we've only talked about the name and its comic so far. We have not talked about the fact that the main engine fell off during its landing attempt. And there's a picture of it.
They got a picture of it. Yeah.
Perfectly severed on its way down to the lunar surface. Well lit, too. Wow. Like, the shadow in the engine bell is incredible. It could not be a better picture of the main engine falling off the bottom of the lander on the way down. So what it turned out was that led to it landing with only one engine. And so because it was landing with one engine, had more horizontal thrust than they would want.
God.
How did it tip?
Was it like off? Something like that.
All I know is the results, right? And the best image ever.
You're talking about the one that looks exactly like the KSP start screen that somebody photoshopped. Yeah. The actual lander onto the... Yeah, this is exactly KSP.
Amazing, yes.
So I do love that aspect, that it totally planted up on its nose.
And this is the one that it was supposed to land sideways, right? It was like they had the landing engine was on the side, so it would like turn sideways and land, and then kind of like the last landing step was.
Wasn't it like the Centaur thing where like main engines were like horizontal velocity and then it had softer landing engines? Or am I thinking of the Centaur thing?
I can't remember, but you're right. It was supposed to be like, it wasn't supposed to look like
it's supposed to look like this, Loren.
Yeah. But you're right. The engines weren't pointed toward the surface, if I recall correctly. It was supposed to be on the side.
And so it landed.
Yeah.
It landed sideways, but what that means is it actually landed upside down because sideways was nominal.
Right.
There we got it.
it was confusing. I remember
You
being
nailed
like, what is the top of this spacecraft?
Which way should this be?
Nobody's quite clear on that. So,
Yeah. So now, shockingly, again, in the funny Moonlander department, landed terrible, operated for a bit, right? And they kept waking up multiple lunar days. There's rovers. Rovers got deployed out, took pictures of it.
And even after like it had died, like they waited like a lunar cycle and then just like gave it a shot. And it's like, oh yeah, it's back. It just came back. It's like, I'm here.
I think that's an important lesson for life in general. You know, you don't always land right side up, but you can still keep going if you really have enough spunk.
The most wholesome part of this show.
Yes.
Loren, the life coach. I love it. Speaking of landing the wrong direction, Jake, should we make Loren tell the story of her Texan brethren down there in the IM1 department?
I can try. I remember I didn't study for this, so this is all off the top of my head. But yes, talk about a really crazy landing experience. So Intuitive Machines was coming in for landing, but we got word as they were landing that they did not have guidance. They didn't really have GNC, right? So it was just, or the lasers that they were supposed to be using to come in weren't working. And so they had to try and like quickly manufacture some, jerry-rigged GNC from a payload on board the lander, which I think was a JPL payload or a NASA payload.
Yeah, it was a NASA payload.
Yeah.
It was a NASA payload,
but it didn't actually work, even though they thought it did.
But it didn't actually work.
But they were convinced it did.
They were really coming in blind, and the best part is we later learned the reason that their navigation controls weren't working is because somebody basically didn't pull one of those remove before flight tags. It wasn't an actual tag, but it was essentially like that. They were supposed to.
It was like the software version
kind
of that,
switch.
wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
It was a to-do comment. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a line comment.
On comment before flight.
I've always wondered, like, has anyone ever forgotten that? And then we actually finally, like, that actually happened. So that was particularly hilarious to find out. And then I hope you're going to use the picture I sent you, Anthony. Yes. I took the screen cap when we were following the press conference because I was like, I can't believe this exists. But yeah, so basically the lander was coming in with a little too much horizontal velocity, and because it's so tall, one of its landing legs tripped a rock and basically tilted over. But there was a good moment after they landed where we did think they had failed, and there was a lot of silence, and we were holding our breath, but then they got confirmation that it was operating, but then we had more silence. So first we got word that, oh, okay, so they succeeded, and then we got a little weird vibes from, I think if I remember correctly, some weird press releases and statements came out, and then they called that press conference the next day, and I was like, okay, now I understand why they're being so cagey about this, because it's a success, but is it?
Do you remember
it was confusing the
NASA webcast? The NASA webcast was really funny because it was like it landed, and then there was, like you said, that first bit of silence, and everyone was kind of waiting. And then you remember, like, they got like some sort of signal, like they got like a carrier heartbeat or something, and they were like, "Oh, we think we hear it." And NASA was like, "That's it, folks. Everything was successful. Thanks for stopping by." And they just like shut the webcast down.
They were like, "We did it. We landed on the moon. Goodbye." And we were like, I remember because. When we cover these things, I'll give you a little insight with us. We're like ready to pull the trigger, right? And it's me. It's me, and everybody above me is like, "Did they do it?" And I'm like, "I don't know." I'm trying so hard, and like other publications pull the trigger, and you don't want to be wrong. Obviously, you don't want to be wrong, and so we're just trying to weigh the pros and cons of saying it was a success versus not, and it can be so difficult when all you have, it's the moon, right? I can't go and check myself. So all I have is the NASA, the NASA live stream and what they're saying on that. So it's such a gamble, and it's really hard to cover these things because you want to be right, but all you have is one source of information, and that's all you're ever going to have.
Yeah.
There's also this metal ass photo of the landing strut, or was that a landing strut, right? From the other side?
Mm-hmm.
Where was that from?
Yeah, like it like broke over and was hanging there. It's like you can see three legs.
It's the leg piece. Yes, right. It's the whole leg.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a metal photo. Love that.
Jeez.
There's a lot going for this mission.
Clips
There's a lot going for this mission. I mean, this face is doing a lot of work in the Moonlander department, to be honest, because it's like, honestly,
what we've learned is that the lander is sideways.
and it's like, give me that other 3D model of the lander so I can use it as the rock that is on the moon. Like in Loren's story of editors breathing down her neck about like, can we publish this or not? This is the best illustration of our collective relationship here, which is that I distinctly remember I was at a happy hour at a bar in Philadelphia, and everyone was yelling at me the same questions, but it was just people drunk at a bar. Like, did we land on the moon? But I feel like this is probably what I looked like 2 Mad Elves in, trying to explain what happened to this thing. Like, it's the same face that I have if I'm trying to make people understand what happened. So, there's one other aspect of this mission that I would like to, again, I have like little inside details here on these moon landing missions. I will once again, I think Tim Crane listens to this show. He listens to the other one. I think he listens to this one. And I'm going to do it one more time. I'm 85 to 90% sure that when they pulled into lunar orbit, their Peri-Loon was single-digit kilometers above the lunar surface.
Oh, wow.
He will not answer this question to me. He will not tell me how close to the lunar surface they were. The timing data that is out there, and like the Scott Tillies of the world and others have put some of this together too, is that they pulled in lunar orbit off time of what they thought, and they were so close to the surface that's why they had to immediately maneuver up to a higher orbit. And that tracks with what they've said, which is when we opened up our sensors when we were at the moon, we saw data that wasn't matching up with what we expected, and so we remember the landing time changed. It was like all of a sudden an hour later.
It moved up, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's ringing a bell.
They shifted up to like a 220 kilometer orbit rather than 100 or something like that. They were like kissing the lunar mountaintops when they came in.
I've done that in KSP
wow.
too.
Yeah. But anyway, Tim keeps saying one day we'll let this out, and like, we're still doing our data review and all that, and they've done the data review, and I keep emailing him, and he's not told anyone how low they were. But it's pretty fucking low. Because if it was 50, he would say 50. Like, whatever.
It was 4.8. Yeah.
So, all right, Loren, those are our 3 funny moonlanders. Work me through your scoring rubric.
Ooh, okay, I didn't actually come up with one. So, but on vibes alone, I mean, no offense to Ash Robotic, but, we just didn't get the funny pictures that we got with them. So funny pictures are always going to win. So, okay, maybe that's my criteria as hilarious snapshots. I mean, I got to give it to Slim, I think. I think that's got to be the winner there. But I have a special place in my heart for that screen grab that you showed, just because I truly laughed out loud. And I know, I want to preface this, I understand how hard it is and probably how sad it was to get this information, but you have to understand we were getting no information on our end. And so for us to go into this press conference with this imagery, it was hilarious at the time. And they still were able to, get some data and some work out of their lander. So it wasn't, and they still get the title for first intact commercial lander on the surface of the moon. So, definitely a lot of wins there, but this is also objectively funny to look at.
Jake?
But I think the Slim
gets your vote.
Yeah. I'm on Team Slim too, just because of the it was a sequence. It was like you got a bunch all in a row. Rather than just one thing, it was like engine, spinny sideways design, picture, still work. Like, it was just, there was a lot going on.
The name, the comic.
The name, the comic. It's a full package. It's a complete off-nominee.
To Steve Ultimus, go Birds. Otherwise, Slim was the winner. They were definitely the winner. Should we do we should do Spaceships next, I think.
Yeah, but before we move on, you should just point out that we have more moon landing shenanigans to come next year, which I don't know if you saw. What we confirmed that iSpace's lander and Firefly's lander are going to be launching on the same Falcon 9 rocket. So continuing the trend in whimsy and funny things happening to lunar landers. They just keep on coming.
Also taking different paths to the moon. Like, they coordinated a little bit, and then they were like, well, we'll get off here and we'll walk on our own.
Yeah.
What if one bumps
This
into
corner's
the other
good.
and they both fail?
Oh God, can you imagine?
It's going to be...
Hopefully the deployment sequence is far enough apart, you know?
I doubt timing will work this well, but we have those two flying and IM-2 in the early part of the new year, right?
Yes.
IM-2 taking a more direct path, so it will be like three quick succession moonlanders at the beginning of the year. So yeah, strong moonlander. We're gonna have a big moonlander segment for the next several years of Off-Nominees for sure.
Clearly,
Yeah.
as if I didn't have enough to do already. No, it's great. We love it.
All right, Spaceships.
Spaceships. So we should probably just dig right into the big one right off the top, right?
Obviously, Starliner. I have three things in here, but I think we could probably like pick out elements. First one I have is just Starliner, generally. Like that's.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's enough whimsy in Starliner as a whole.
It's very sad as a whole.
More
is the
sad than
problem,
whimsy,
right?
Yeah.
I think. So if we were to pick moments out, there's two that we thought of that have that spirit of whimsy. One was the weird noises that were coming out of Starliner the one day that no one could figure out.
Don't get me started on that.
What was happening with the noises?
That was like, like whole news cycles were spawned from this entire saga, and many of them should have just been dead to, like it really.
Is there another story happening this week, Loren, that you might think is feeling similar to that? Or, are you too central to the U.S. to deal with my fellow New Jerseyans?
Oh, gosh. Well, I didn't even think about that. I thought you were referencing the delay that Butch and Sunny are going to have
Stranded
home. But
Stranded astronauts. Stranded more.
But
you're not big on the noises.
obviously.
You're not a pro noise being a whimsical element.
I think what annoys me about the noises is that one seemed to capture the zeitgeist in this weird way, and the amount of texts I got from people that were like, "What are the noises?" And I was like, "Audio feedback." I was like, what do you think it's gonna be? Do you think it's like aliens? Like what? I don't know. It was just
yes,
like,
that's what they thought.
Like there's
that's what
yeah.
they thought.
I mean, they really did. But everyone loves a mystery. I understand it. But was it newsworthy? No.
Here's all right. Let me stand the noises being on this list. Is that think about you being an astronaut on the ISS and your day being derailed by trying to figure out what the hell's going on and stop the annoying noise that's happening.
Exactly. Like I can't even imagine what must be going through those people's heads when they are just like doing their job and then they wake up the next day and this innocuous conversation that they had with mission control is all over the internet.
Yeah. It was weird. Yeah. It was a weird thing that happened. It was kind of funny though.
I mean, but that was just kind of how this whole story, I don't know. I hope we don't have the story that annoys me the most on this list, which is that like the New York Post saw a weird picture of Sunny and just decided she was malnourished. And that's
oh, you did? That was a really
awful.
stupid couple of days. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like the New York Post and the Daily Mail, and they just won't let it go. And they don't have any sourcing. It's just literally like somebody saw a picture and they're like, "Oh, doesn't she look kind of weird?"
All right, there might be a reason this should be on the list, which is the press conference that happened after that. And when they like we're like, all right, we got to do something to like dispel this rumor. We had a press conference scheduled. We will ask Sunny, "How you doing?" Like an open-ended question, and her response was like, "I've been working out. Like I've been up here. I've been on this bike. I've been pumping iron. Like I'm good. I'm doing great. Like she was
Yeah.
just totally bragging about how much workout she's been doing. I love that little
Yeah.
swagger.
She's like, thanks for noticing.
She's like, I've been feeling great.
Getting fit. Yeah, exactly.
I enjoyed that.
So I just think that clearly, like, there are just a few times where I notice that stories we're covering is really capturing people's attention more than the average story. And obviously Starliner had rumblings when I went to my book club, and one of the people there was like, oh, I heard about the stranded astronauts. And I was like, stranded astronauts? What are you talking about? And then I was like, oh, she's talking about Starliner. And that was the first indication I got that this was the narrative that was forming. And it was just a roller coaster ride ever since then. So I think everyone was just on a heightened alert, and they still are, about news about Butch and Sunny because of the whole saga.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is that sound story came in one of those windows between like the important press conference, where it was like, they had like 4 or 5 where they're like giving us updates on what's going on. And there was one time when there was like a big gap. That's when this happened, right? It was like a 2-week gap between press conferences or something. And
it all blurs together.
We were all just like, we need Starliner news right now.
This
and
was September 1st.
How about this weird noise? And it's like, what is this? We need to obsess about this. But it turns out it was just the sound.
This was in the burger gap where he had stated the deorbit date that no one had said yet, and they had not yet done a press conference to confirm it.
Right. The burger gap.
Jake's favorite Starliner story. I don't know if you want me to play a clip of this, Jake. Is that what you would?
We
like
have to
me
play it. It's only like a minute, so we have to.
Yeah,
play
I have the timestamp.
The timing is so good. So this is. I'll set this up. This is the first time they tried to launch. They got scrubbed. Yeah, so it wasn't the one time they actually launched. This is the first one, and so this is like very close to launch. And Butch had this speech.
Thank you, Elsie.
Oh yeah.
To all of you sitting on console, whether you're in Houston, BMCC, ASOC, Atlas, this is a great day to be proud of your nation. And all of you listening as well, whether you're at Banana Creek or the Causeway or the rooftop of LCC or the ASOC.
Love that.
It's so
and other
intense.
places around our nation, like the Bay Area building and other places where you are viewing what's taking place.
And the pan, the
Again,
B-roll.
for you, it's a great day to be proud of your nation, great day to be proud of Boeing, great day to be proud of UOA and NASA. And we are one nation, under God, indivisible.
Pledge allegiance in the middle.
And we together use the power of that combination, we can do some pretty amazing things. So LC, with that, we are ready to put some fire in this rocket and propel this spacecraft to the International Space Station, where all these fine Americans have designed and have prepared it to be.
The flag.
So let's go. Take us to space and back.
That one. Take us to space and back, Calypso. Huh.
Yeah, Sonny's just like, yeah, that's great. Let's just go.
You got a timeline.
LC flight, Starliner configured to terminal count. Roger. All steps are complete prior to terminal count.
Been 20 seconds since he stopped talking.
And with that,
everyone's like
ready to go to
feeling
space.
so good.
Hard not to be emotional listening to those words from Butch. I'm sure we'll be playing that speech back for a long time.
Will be T-minus 4 minutes and counting. 3.
We're playing the speech
2,
back. That's for sure.
1. Mark.
Up
3:55.
next, liftoff.
Ground pyros enabled.
Pyros enabled.
Launchpad ordnance circuits are now enabled.
Hold. Like CCLS.
Less than a minute.
Approximately
50
T-minus
seconds.
350.
50 seconds.
LC.
What a bummer. He did an abbreviated one the next attempt, right? Wasn't there a shorter?
I think so. I can't remember, but okay. So I was outside at this point, and I had missed the whole speech because I was basically like running outside to go watch, and I was like getting it ready, and then somebody was like, "It's a scrub," or no, maybe it was Chris Davenport. Somebody had turned to me and they were like, it's a scrub. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, it's not happening. And so I like sunk to my knees on the floor of or on the ground outside. And then I turned behind me and I'm directly behind Kristen Fisher's CNN camera. And I was like, oh my God, did I just sink to my knees on CNN right just now? Thankfully, they told me it was not captured, but I was really certain that like I just had done a dramatic faint on CNN. So thank God that didn't happen.
God, that would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this speech though, it was so perfect.
God.
It's a great day to be proud of Boeing and Starliner and NASA. And then yeah. The best irony is that scrub was like the best thing they were going to have for a long time. Like that's the most innocuous news story they were going to have to deal with for months. The comms team thought that was the low point, and it was the high point.
Yeah.
So I think that
was it.
I think that's the only Starliner one with any whimsy. The rest were just like.
Everything else was tragic and scary.
But don't be sad, Loren. We do have 2 other good spaceship stories.
Okay, I'm excited.
Okay. One of which I know you do not remember.
Okay. Hit me.
First one that you will, because it happened very recently, and I feel like we have not heard enough detail about this, was Progress MS-29 that docked with the space station and probably let hypergolic propellants into the space station.
Oh, yes. It was noxious odor.
Yeah.
Or wait, which one am I thinking of? No,
you nailed it.
That is it. Yeah.
Yep.
The foul
spray
smell.
paint-like smell is what was reported. Yeah.
Gotta love it. It's just, if it's not a leak of propellant or cooling fluid, it's foul smell emanating throughout.
When is the last year that a spacecraft coming from Russia didn't have a problem with it?
I don't know.
It's before 2018 because they've appeared every single year.
We have a spot for them every year.
Yeah. This one though, did you follow up on what happened here? Because there was a little detail from Anatoly Zak, which is that the undocking of what spaceship was it? Where does he have? Oh, Progress MS-27. They did not purge the propellant lines before Progress MS-27 undocked. So when it did undock, it sprayed hypergolic propellant on the docking hatch. And then Progress MS-29 docked. And because they didn't purge the lines and it sprayed there, then when they opened the hatch, it was propellant from the last Progress still on the door.
So it's actually way worse.
Way worse. You're saying. Way worse than a leak. Yeah.
Oh God. Well, is everyone okay? I mean,
I don't know. They didn't say anything about it.
Oh God.
This is why we were born with a few extra brain cells, so that we can lose a few at various points in our lives and still do okay.
Yeah. All those permanent markers we sniffed in grade school,
Exactly. Yeah. There's a little bit of a margin in how many brain cells.
It's basically the same as inhaling hypergolic propellant, right? Like it's no problem. We all got away with it.
Yeah. Here's the best Russia of the year, though. Soyuz MS-25. Pretty standard deorbit, pretty standard reentry, very non-standard landing. Do either of you remember what happened at the landing of Soyuz MS-25? Jake probably does because he looked at the document.
I did, yeah. I briefly remembered it before I read about it again. So,
Loren, would you believe me if Progress or Soyuz MS-25 landed directly next to a tractor?
Oh, I do remember this, and I did see that picture. And of course, I believe it.
100 yards. What, 150, 100, probably like 80 to 100 yards, I would say. It's not very far. Yeah, and it's just like a regular-ass farming tractor.
You know how I read this photo is that tractor running away screaming, like, ah! Even though I guess there's nobody in it, but
no. But real quick, dissect this image a little bit. Look at the path that this tractor took in the field.
Oh, it was like, oh shit.
Yep. It was driving towards where it was coming in, and he saw the thing coming, and then he turned to the right.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
So you think it landed as close as it is right now, but look at how close it was right next to it.
know, you're just trying to plow the field, and then a
Incredible.
spacecraft comes screaming in above you.
Yeah,
What's
what
really
do you
interesting
do?
is if you look at the dust, it's blowing to the left, which means that the spacecraft would have come floating on the parachute from the right side of the screen here too. So it would have actually gone over the tractor probably.
Wow,
Jeez.
wind analysis.
Yeah,
I
look
hope
at
you
that.
got some hazard pay for that.
This is. I doubt it.
Yeah,
I
I have
don't know.
news for you, Lauren. He did
I
not.
haven't heard a lot of good stories about Russian pay lately.
Yeah. Is this even in Russia or is this Kazakhstan? Like,
I don't think the astronauts got paid. So I love this one. This one is quintessential. This is my vote, 100% quintessential off-nominee. It's totally ridiculous.
in the spaceship
Amazing.
category, you're voting
Incredible.
tractor.
I'm voting tractor. This is insane.
Right.
This is a ridiculous story.
Yeah, I think it fulfills my criteria of funny picture. Therefore, it wins.
There you go.
I mean,
All
this
right,
is
I'll get
this is the Kazakh steppe version of the boaters.
It is, yes.
Yeah, when you land on land, that's
Yeah.
the hazard. You got boats or tractors.
Yeah.
You guys will outvote me on the patriotic speech.
You like the patriotic speech?
That one is.
I can't stop thinking about the speech. So
That is.
We're already too American, me and Lauren. That just barely registered for us. So
yeah, you guys do patriotism. It hits different down there. I don't know.
Oh, don't even patriotism in Texas hits even more different. We not only had to say the Texas Pledge of Allegiance.
I would say the
along
Pledge of
with the
Allegiance to
American
Texas.
flag.
Yeah.
Yes.
is that the song? Is that the Stars at Night thing?
No,
that
it's
just a
honor
song?
the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one and indivisible. And we had to say that after we pledged the American flag. So that was every day.
after.
Wow.
That's good that it was
Mhm.
after.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm sure there are people who've probably wanted it to go before, but I didn't wade into those
Or by itself.
debates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that brings
All
us
right.
to the rocket rundown. This one we don't leave too much time for this in the show because it's usually just a highlight reel of all these fantastic videos. So somewhat of a lightning round.
Okay.
We will pull this up. Let's see. Where should we start, Jake?
Let's just go
Kairos.
through the list, man. I think we can just go through it. So this top one here, this is, how do you say this? Is it Kairos? Is this the rocket
Kairos?
name? Kairos? Yeah. This is Japanese, right?
Mm.
So this one gets like a double spot this year. So we have this one here. This was back in March. This was this the first flight? This is like the
Very
inaugural
first.
flight, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And it didn't go well. But
Best
the
part
best
of this,
part,
though. Yeah. There's the satellite. Just flying away.
Oh.
Love that.
So cute.
That's like right
It's
in the middle of it all, right there.
perfect
Truly
picture.
incredible.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
yeah.
With the
You know what it
satellite.
reminds me of? The frog. Was that ever an
The rocket
off-nominal,
frog.
or was that
Mm.
That was
before?
pre our show.
That was
Off-Nominal.
shuttle era, so that
Oh.
was a long time ago. Yeah.
No,
Not
it was not
shuttle.
shuttle era. It was
was
sickness
in the-
flight, I think.
Yeah.
Was it? I
Um,
thought it was a shuttle flight. Oh, I'm thinking of the bat.
You're thinking of the bat. Yeah, the bat.
Wait, show me
There
the
was
bat.
There was a bat on the side of the external tank of the shuttle once when it lifted off. It was just like clinging on for dear life
Yeah.
and space
Really
bat.
fun.
So,
Oh, that's so sad.
yeah.
No, the frog
Yeah.
is one of my favorite.
The frog
images
is,
of all
you're right.
time.
It's Antares, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Let me find this bat picture.
Yeah, it kind of does look like that though. Yeah, the satellite's just like, I'm free.
All I have is an absolutely extreme close up of this bat, Jake. So Lauren will have to
Show
believe
it.
us that this was on the outside of the external tank.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that
It
was while
it
it
was
was
like a
lifting
night
off.
launch, right? It was a night launch,
Man,
I think. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I really hope
So there you go.
he realized what was happening before he went to space.
Yeah.
All right, so Cairo's pretty good. Another failure like yesterday, pretty much.
Yeah, 2 days ago, the second flight
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
going great.
went a lot better. It went better.
3
but
minutes better,
the,
I think.
3 minutes better. Yeah. But then I don't know, something I haven't even figured out the failure mode yet, but it started corkscrewing really good. So do you have
Jeez.
do you have the
So
video of this, or
Did I get the video for it? Kairos launch.
I think I linked to
Did you link it?
a tweet somewhere. Hang on.
I have a picture of it.
Hmm. Okay, I'll find it. But yeah, basically the
Here, I got a picture.
Oh.
Oh, it's better in video though. Hold on.
Okay, find the video.
We're gonna get it. I got it here. Let me get the timestamp though.
Oh man, with the timestamps.
Where is the timestamp?
I'll just take a video.
Never mind. I don't have it.
That's fine. I mean, look, it took a hard ass right turn. Look at that.
Yeah, I think that a picture's worth 1,000 words in this instance.
The video is really good because it's literally doing like a corkscrew. It's like and it makes this like little spiral motion in the sky. It's pretty funny.
I love that one.
Did you ever do Astra's side swipe one on one of your?
Oh, yeah.
Was that during the off-nominee time? I felt like that one was.
That was like 2 years ago, I think, maybe 1 year ago.
Yeah.
That was
No.
It won the rocket category. Yeah.
Was it
like
really that soon?
I think that was in the best stunt flight category of one of the years.
Incredible.
Let's see. That was they won best stunt flight in 2021. It was them, Firefly with the time where they the engines went out. Yeah, and then it flipped at max Q. Long March 5B. I think that was just from it deorbiting uncontrolled. Is that why we awarded that?
I think so. Yeah.
And then Starship SN10, which was the one that landed or did it
successfully landed.
Yeah. It reminds me. Do you guys seen a Galaxy Quest? The part where like they bring in the pig and they're like, it came in inside out and then it exploded. I thought about that.
SN10, 100%.
Yeah, that was SN10. Yeah.
Perfect.
All right, the next one in our Rocky category for this year that Jake loves is this ridiculously overhyped and dramatic Vulcan countdown comic book that they were releasing this in batches, right, Jake? What was the situation with this?
They were.
Yeah, it came out like in a whole bunch of stories, right? But it's like I can't even read it because it's just so ridiculous. Like it's just the animation is so out there. Like, look at Tori. Look at that. What is going on there?
His horse is involved.
And the horse.
Amazing. I think if I remember correctly, they had announced this with a countdown, like on Twitter, and I was like, "What is it?" Because I was like, I can't handle more news right now. And then when it turned out to be a comic book, I was like, oh my God,
Yeah, he was counting down. You're right. And we were all wondering, because wasn't this like, we thought maybe it was going to be the purchase announcement or something?
I thought it was going to be some major.
Literally anything.
News, I was like, what could it possibly be? Did you develop a new rocket? Like, what happened? And then it was a comic book. So I guess that's good that it was
better than I give it credit for.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, now we've got our other Vulcan story, which was alluded to earlier. We had
observation.
Yeah, we had a full-on observation in flight. Great video. There's the nozzle. Just
the nozzle is what makes this an off-nominee. If it had just exploded, it would not have made this list.
Incredible.
Great tracking shot.
So my memory of this is, I will admit, I was watching this from bed because I'm pretty sure it happened super duper early in the morning, if I recall. And I think we had somebody, covering it. Like I'd given them all the info and I was like, okay, if you guys can just kind of push it live, that would be great. And so I was watching from bed to like make sure, nothing happened. And then I remember I saw it, but in their live stream, that was not clear. Like that was NSF, is it? Is what I saw,
like
right?
The close NSF video.
No, in the ULA live stream, it wasn't clear, but it did something. You could see it, and I remember I go, and I woke Chris up, my husband, and he was like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh,
I don't know.
Never mind. I think it's fine." Like I was like,
I don't know. Maybe it went through a cloud or something.
It's like when you have the dream jump.
I always gotta trust my gut, because like I remember this happened to me during the first Starship launch because I remember taking a video and I saw something pop off, and in the video you can hear me go, "Oh, is that okay? All right." And because it just kept going, I was like, all right, well maybe I just don't know rockets as well as I thought. But I do is the reality. I know when something
you have
poofs,
a sense. Yeah.
It's not
never
supposed
good.
to poof,
Never good.
It's
not supposed to poof at all.
No.
Not supposed to poof.
Well, here's one that did, Loren. This is an epic. Nebula 1.
This video, man.
Ready for the slow-mo. Get ready for the slow-mo. Boom. Yes.
Oh, geez.
God, I love that video.
It's really good.
It's like one of the best rocket videos we've ever had. Let's be honest.
So well produced.
Circle. Yeah, it's amazing. Really stunning camera work for sure.
The slow-mo. No one does that. No one does a dramatic slow-mo.
We should take some notes. Yeah, that was really good.
And the circular drone flight, like the fact that they were orbiting it with the drone is
incredible.
So good.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's one of the greatest. But I regret to inform everybody that not only is this the best story of the year, it might be the best off-nominee of all time. Right? Is there a better off-nominee than the non-static static fire? The static fire test in which the rocket just took the fuck off.
I'm free.
And went like a kilometer, right?
This is
Or
like when
several?
I try to take my dog outside, but then I realize that she's not on the leash, and then she just goes into it. You know, it's a comparable situation.
And no flight termination system because it's a static fire.
Yeah.
Also, it did great, I would say.
Yeah,
the rocket did great.
At the end of the day, they probably got some pretty good data from that.
Yeah.
I hope so, yeah. And if anything, we got, and were there like multiple views of this too? I think there were a lot of videos because everyone was like, "What is happening outside right now?"
Yeah, and it's like China, so this test facility is like in the downtown of some city that's got 7 million people in it or something.
Yeah, there it
Can you
goes.
imagine? Oh my God, I would have lost my mind. Oh geez.
I think it overflew. It went shockingly far, like downrange for whatever
downrange.
Yeah.
Downwind, I think is the word you're looking for.
Props to these people filming. I think I would be running as
Man,
fast
they
as I
really
could.
stick it out in China. You know,
Yeah.
like sometimes
Yeah,
they
they
find
do.
their way up into a launch tower at Xichang, and they just ride it out.
They put themselves in
We
the
thank
Richard
you for your
Garriott kill
service.
zone and just go for it, right?
A bunch of Garriott followers out there. They just like, how
Wow.
close can I? But how close could I stand? You know.
Oh,
All right.
So I mean, listen, Nebula 1, epic production, right? If we're running through our criteria, epic production of Nebula 1, bystander footage of Tianglong 3. But can you beat a non-static static fire?
I have to vote for it. I think you're spot on with that take. Because I've always wondered if that would ever happen, and then it did. A lot of the off nominees this year were me wondering, oh, I wonder if that could ever take place, and then I was proved that you can actually mess up in that way.
Yeah.
Jake?
Yeah, definitely the winner of that category. The dynamic fire. Yeah.
All right, so we got Slim in the
Dynamic
Moonlanders. Slim versus Soyuz MS-25's tractor versus Tianglong 3. That's what we're up against. So I think it's probably Tianglong 3 versus Slim.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta go with the rocket,
Yeah.
but it's a close second because
I'll cast
Slim
my
had
vote
that
for
cute
Slim so that it
cartoon.
at least gets on the board.
yeah,
The thing though, here's Jake. Let me try to make this unanimous. Okay, we may see another moonlander. In fact, this year we saw 2 moonlanders roll over in funny ways.
Fair,
You will never see a dynamic fire, probably ever again.
That's fair.
Anthony, don't speak so definitively. This is the
Lauren,
space
it's good
industry
for the
we're
show.
talking about.
If it does, it's good for the show.
Yeah.
All right.
Are you switching your
We
vote?
have a
Is this a
winner?
unanimous decision?
No, I'm not gonna switch my vote. They're still gonna win
God damn
anyway.
it.
So.
All right, well, Tianglong 3, the first winner out of China. I would say last year we had our first Europeans.
Right.
This year, first out of China.
Yeah.
I have a feeling they're going to be a
We're going around
strong
the world.
contender in the next. Yeah, we're gonna have a whole Epcot exhibit pretty soon.
Whole Epcot of Off-Nominees. Heading over to the China Pavilion where we have the
Tianglong 3 exhibit right next to the restaurant.
Oh my god.
Russia's right in the middle. They get the most space.
I was gonna say they've probably got a bunch, and we've got
Sponsored by
scissors,
Roscosmos.
yeah. Yeah, we got to have like all the like artifacts, just to commemorate each of the.
That's a great point, Loren. Did anyone save the dagger? Is the dagger still up on the station?
Oh,
we need to get those. We need to acquire them. We need to make friends with a billionaire that might buy those scissors.
Yeah.
Surely somebody has them.
Surely we know a billionaire interested in space that might have access to the ISS in the near future. Surely we can think of somebody.
What a concept.
There is a remarkable amount of billionaires in this space for some reason. So,
weird, yeah.
Earlier you said there aren't that many billionaires, and I was like, well, I don't know. In our world.
Well, there we have it, folks.
There we have it.
3. Congratulations. What a year. Great year. Loren,
it was a good year.
What do you have to tell people about that they are not partaking in, other than you breaking stories, as you told us in the middle of the show there?
Just find me on Blue Sky. That's where I am these days. And with a sprinkling of LinkedIn, I would say. And if you see us, take pity on us because we're tired and there's too much happening all the time. This is not our first rodeo with the Trump administration, and if anybody recalls, it was a busy time then, and it's going to be even busier this time. So just know we're working hard, and we're not getting a lot of sleep.
Especially with Speaker of the House Elon Musk. As was tweeted about once today, at least one time.
No, it was tweeted about
the funny thing about that,
multiple times.
The funny thing about that is that you could say any other high-ranking title in the government and then put Elon's name after it, and it's still funny. You can say Vice President Musk, that's funny. You can say First Lady Musk, that's funny. You can say Speaker of the House Musk, that's funny.
It's funny to
Don't
you.
count it out.
What I mean,
again,
it's
he loves those
overtime
patriotic
for me.
speeches, and yeah. You have to join us one day in the independent podcasters section, Loren. You will be screamed questions about moonlanders at a bar instead of work. So it's different. It's slightly different.
I might take it.
it. Jake, we are
crying here.
We're out of here for the year, huh?
That's it. Yeah. So we'll be back in 3 weeks and do our other annual tradition, which is we kick it off with predictions.
Predictions. I looked at our 2024 predictions document, and half of it makes no sense to me. There was one line. Let me just read this real quick. I know we're going long. There's one line that says, "This is part of our 2024 predictions thing." It says U.S. Space Force Daddy Letter. That's the title, and then it just says Eric Berger says letter is mailed. What does that mean?
Daddy letter.
Space Force Daddy was.
We're gonna have to rewatch that one too.
Yeah, I don't know. I have any idea what that meant, but that's where we're getting to in the next show in 2 weeks. So.
Daddy Space Force rings a bell.
Daddy Space Force was. Yeah, because I think that was what's his name?
Raymond.
You know who I'm talking about? Yes. That you see, you
know. Yeah.
But what was this letter?
Which daddy are we talking about?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know what letter it is. We'll find out next week or 2 weeks from now. So tune in for that. Thanks, Loren, for hanging out. You're the best. Everybody else.
Always a pleasure.
We'll see you next year. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.